Suddenly, there were 2 rent checks and 2 sets of utility bills that needed to be covered from a pot that previously only had to pay for one. I'm going to touch on something that isn't talked about enough: the need for life insurance after divorce. Most people think of life insurance as a safety net that kicks in when they die. It's a way to provide their spouse and children with the financial support that they need to support and maintain their current lifestyle and take care of all the major expenses that are taken care of by the breadwinners of the family. But what about ex-spouses? How does a family's life insurance need change after a divorce? The degree of change varies from case to case. First, I'll share a case with you of Rahul and Meera. Both were breadwinners and shared the financial load equally. They pulled in roughly the same income, and after all their bills were paid and their expenses handled, they had about 15% of their collective income left on hand. Rahul and Meera had life insurance policies listing each other as the beneficiary, with the kids named as a contingent beneficiary. About 10 years into the marriage, however, the couple decided to split up. While it was an amicable divorce, their finances took a real hit. Though they both had an income, according to the law in the UAE, the wife must receive an alimony and the other child maintenance costs as decided by the court. The couple settled on an upfront lump sum payment instead of alimony, and monthly contributions towards education and other costs for the children. It was, however, the day-to-day that became a challenge. Rahul moved out to an apartment, and Meera stayed in the larger house with the kids. Suddenly, there were 2 rent checks and 2 sets of utility bills that needed to be covered from a pot that previously only had to pay for one. The lump sum paid out of the divorce settlement isn't a small amount, but it doesn't make up for the lost second income of the household. Meera's income has much more riding on it now than it did before. The life insurance policies have been changed to reflect the children as primary beneficiaries, with other immediate family members now becoming beneficiaries too. The need for life insurance for Meera becomes more pressing. The children are now heavily dependent on her. Should anything happen to her, they need a full-time care and financial support. Their father is no longer legally bound to take on those responsibilities. As you can see, it's not a simple matter of splitting the bank accounts down to the middle, or giving her half as the Hollywood oversimplification goes. Next, I'm going to share one more case with you on the change in life insurance after divorce. But in this case, there's only one breadwinner in the family. Rishi runs a successful business, and his wife Akansha is a homemaker. Rishi has a large valued life insurance policy in place, listing Akansha and their 2 kids as beneficiaries. The proceeds from the policy are sufficient to support the family's lifestyle and expenses, regardless of how the business does without him to manage it anymore. The family lives in a home that is already paid off. Akansha has no life insurance policy to her name. After working at their marriage for years, Rishi and Akansha decided to separate when it wasn't working out for them. The alimony is sufficient for Akansha to remain a homemaker and continue to live the same lifestyle that they do now. Education and other child support expenses are all being paid for by Rishi. In this case, it becomes important to get a life insurance policy in place for Akansha. She is a homemaker and there would be no loss of income if anything happened to her per se. But what we forget is that Rishi would now have to account for childcare. Because his time is tied up entirely with the business, he might not be around to take care of the kids and their daily routines, the drop-offs, tutoring, their healthcare, all things that were previously being taken care of by their mother. A life insurance policy in Akansha's name would take care of these eventualities. The beneficiary of the policy could be a trust, or the children, or even Rishi himself if he is the payer of the policy and so chooses. Every divorce settlement is likely to have a unique requirement for life insurance. Financial security is probably more important when parents part ways. There is no longer another adult in the picture to fall back upon.